31 years, I've sold everything from Superman 1s to Fantasy 15s to 50-cent comics. So there's nothing I haven't sold. Do you have books to grade? Do you have questions? What do y'all want to do? Books to grade. All right, do you want to know if you want to grade it to have it slabbed, or do you just want me to give you a grade on it, or how do you want me to grade your things? Like, are you thinking about having it slabbed? Okay. Because that's a difference. Let me just talk just for a second. If you're buying books and you want to have them slabbed, you look at it differently than if you're buying a book and you just want a nice copy for yourself. If you're having it slabbed, there's a pretty good chance you want to sell it. Some people do slab things for themselves, but most times if you're buying slab books for yourself, you already buy them slabbed because you want the grades you want to get. You only want to buy a 9.8. You're not going to go buy a book for $500 and hope you get a 9.8. You're going to just buy the 9.8 and pay the money for it. So that's the difference in the books when you're buying them, if you want to have it slabbed for you or have it slabbed for sale. So, all right, bring me your book. Contestant number 1. You bought this from Alvin upstairs, did you not? Yes, sir. I know his post-it notes. Super Friends 1. Now, I'm not going to open it up to look on the inside. I'm assuming all the pages there, I'm assuming it's not written in. So, because usually that's done, so I'll make a note on that on the outside. Are you slabbing this because you want to sell it, or are you slabbing this because it's like your favorite book and you just want a really nice copy slabbed?
A really nice copy slabbed.
Okay. Because I would not slab this to sell. You're going to get around a 6 on this book. I mean, you've got spine damage. You've got a tear back here. It is a nice copy. I'm not trying to knock it, but for slabbing, it's a different level in grading than just having a nice book. It's got a little sun damage on it where it's been out in the sun. Just because of the white's been faded. It's got tanning to it. At least 6 spine breaks that I can see just without taking it out of the bag. But yeah, if you grade it, you're going to get around a 6 through CGC. If you through CBCS, around the same thing. They're here on site. So, like I said, for yourself, if you want a nice copy of slab, that's what I'm just going to get. So the price you pay, if you paid $50, that's a good price for it. It is the number 1 issue. It is hard to find. Most of these books, when they made these, this is Super Friends 1, were made for children. They didn't make these for the adults that were collecting the time. They just made these for the 8-year-olds. And most of them got bought and ripped up and sat on the front porch. You put your Coke on it. And so that's why higher grades of this book are harder to find than, say, a Spider-Man or an X-Men book from this era, because those were made more for collectors, per se, at the time. So, but it's a nice copy.
How would you get it slabbed?
There's multiple ways. If you want to go through CBCS, which is the other grading site besides CGC, they are downstairs. You can take the book to them. You fill out paperwork. You give them a credit card. They take the book, and then depending on how fast you do it, 1 month to 6 months, you'll get the book shipped back to you in the mail in a nice big boxed envelope wrapped in bubble wrap, and it will be graded. They are downstairs on the first floor, on the first aisle. It's a little booth. You can take the book to most comic stores there's a comic store in usually each city that is a CGC comic store, which means you take books to them and they send it off for you. Or you can contact CGC directly and send it into them. Or you can go to CGC on site where they do the grading on site that day at the convention, and they do that at Chicago, New York, and I think MegaCon. So, but there you go. Yeah, I mean, you're talking 6 months at the earliest. So.
Honestly, if you're going to get it slabbed for you, just go CBC.
Go CBC, yeah. I mean, if it's just for you, CBCS will get back to you quicker. They're a little bit cheaper. The grading system is the same.
It's a little more expensive. We sent out one CGC in Columbus, Ohio last year. It was $35, and then we sent out the one last night. Well, you know what? I got more insurance on it.
Right. What also means if you're I'm a member, so I get discounts. So everybody's different. If you join their clubs and all that stuff, I only do on-site grading now because I don't have 6 months to wait. I'll pick a pile of them up, take it to Chicago, turn it in on Wednesday, and I get them back Saturday. And because I'm like, 6 months, I could have sold it 12 times. So
what's a 9.8 look like? Flawless?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a white cover, it's going to be, as white as this sheet. There's not going to be a spine break on it. The staples are going to be shiny. The corners are going to be as sharp as you could get them, like a sheet of paper. I mean, it's going to be a perfect, you know, the 10s out there, there's so few of them, and also you can't determine between a 9/8 and a 10. You're not going to see the difference. You know, somebody's going to say it's a 10 because it's got better gloss or something. But 9/8s are just, you know, fresh off the printing press. You pick them up. I mean, I know guys that have cases of, like Harlequin 1 when it came out. Ordered 200 copies, they get a case. They send the case off to CGC and say, I only want 9/8s and 10s. And they might get, out of 230, you know, maybe 110 out of that case. So most of them are going to be 9/6s because every time you do that, or you pick it up, or you breathe heavy on it, it could, you know, damage the book somehow. You know, when in grading it, every little thing that you don't think that is that important, it takes off 2 points.
The book we sent out was Power Man and Iron Fist #1.
Okay.
Last year, and it was actually here last year. We got Scott Young to do a Jessica Jones sketch on it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like nobody saw him do it, so they didn't verify all that. But they sent it back at 9/8. I was like,
So yeah, there you go. I mean, Chicago this year we put in Amazing Spider-Man 1, and I really thought the book was going to be an 8.0. I just picked it up. It was a very nice copy, and it came back in 9.0. So we just sold that book for $47,000. So, and I bought it for $1. No, I didn't. But
I work at the shop in Ohio, and we're mostly electronic shop. We do comic trading and stuff.
oh, okay.
I sold a Hulk 181 ungraded for $450 at the time.
Oh yeah.
I've seen a couple here at comic shops go ahead. So I have a question. If you want to keep the color on it real nice, do you just keep it in like a dark green sealed up?
The best way to store your comics, bag and board them first. Double board everything that you want to keep. One board is not enough. Double board everything. Put them in a comic box. Put the comic box in your closet. Make sure in that closet is not your shoes, dog food, anything that has a smell to it, because paper holds smell over anything. Don't put them in your attic. Don't put them in your basement. Don't put them by your bathroom. Don't put them by your kitchen. Closet in the hallway. Nothing else in the closet besides regular type of stuff. You know, umbrellas or Christmas things. But don't put things in there that have smell. People bring me books all the time, and they ask me why I smell them. And because I go, been in your attic. You know, or, oh, you smoke. They're like, how do you know? I'm like, you smoke Marlboros. And they're like, yeah, I do. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know. Or you have cats, so you should just throw all these away. So, but animals smells, I mean, the paper will attract, you can take that Lexington paper right there, put it in your house, in your kitchen, cook fish, and a week later you bring me that paper, and I can tell you can cook fish, because paper just holds smell. So, and you want to keep it away from heat. You'd rather have it colder than hotter. Hotter will turn your pages tan. Cold won't really affect them that much, but if they stay cold for long, they get a certain smell to them because they've been in the cold. So books from the north will smell different than books from the south. I know this sounds nuts, but, you know, I literally can, when people bring me stuff, I can tell what region you are from by the way the books smell. So, and double board and everything, because one board, they still bend. I mean, double board, you know, if you really want to take your collection, you put 2 boards on the front, 2 boards on the back, and then you tape it up. So, yeah. Yeah, just the whiteboard there. That's actually in a sturdier bag, but you should double board it at least. If you really want to be a serious collector, I'm not going to sell these, but I want them nice. 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and it also keeps the light from getting on the cover as well. And it just gives it that extra protection. I mean, I've got books in boxes that I can step on top of the boxes, and I'm not going to hurt the books because they're so boarded. So, and I've done that multiple times, but I don't worry about it because I'm thinking about a pack of backing boards is that thick. It's only 100 boards. I mean, you can step on it. You know, you're not going to bend it unless you just jump up and down on it. So if you're putting 100 books in a long box and each one has 4 boards, that's 4 packs. I mean, that's like a concrete block. So, and that's just for protection of it. So, I mean, I can't do that and selling them because I didn't let me have enough books in the boxes, and it makes it really heavy for me to pick up. But my personal collection is double boarded Mylar bags also, not regular bags, but everything in Mylar. It's about 60 cents a bag, but it keeps, regular bags you need to switch out every 3 to 5 years. You've picked up those bags before and like, man, I don't see through this bag because it's yellow, it's grungy. Mylars don't do that. So you change them out once a decade. Any comic book store you can get Mylars from. So and if they don't, they can order them. So plus any store in the South, they all get their supplies from Southern Hobby Distribution, and I know they carry them because I worked there one time. So.
How do manufacturer imperfections like affect the print, like misstapling?
It does. I mean, they don't go, oh, that's not really the book's fault. It doesn't matter. You know, the only manufacturing defect that's a positive is a double cover. But if the staple's missing, you know, or a page is bent in half, that's just flaws. I mean, there are people out there that only collect misshapen books. You know, I mean, I've got guys, I only collect books that have this done or a printing stamp, you know, and that's fine, but that's such a small niche that no one's going to go, I'll only collect those to make money, you know.
It's like a lot of the older, like slower age books, like the staples, instead of being like they are now, like along the spine or like sideways.
Right, yeah, it's over time they come out, and you can have that redone through any restoration company, and that's, some people will consider that restoration, some people won't. And grading it will pop up as a purple label restoration. But if it's for your own collection and you want to preserve the book, you can send it off and have them restapled. And if it's a regular book like that, you can restaple it yourself. Find another book from that era, bend the staples out, take it out, put it back in, bush it back. You know, as long as you're not putting new holes in the book, you know, nobody's going to know, and it's for you anyway. So, but you can tell when you bring me books, if it's a $1,000 book, I'm looking through every page and looking at the staples. You know, $5 books we don't care about, but then I'm gonna go, hey, this staple is different from the other staple. Why? And you go, oh, you know, the staple was out or something like that. But you can tell. But to save the book, you can do it yourself. So.
I mean, that's not really gonna, like for personal collecting, like just sending out like the CGC or CBCS.
Right. It's not gonna affect anything now. So. I'm just. It's
Is it Stanley's big book breakthrough?
not really. Stan wrote Captain America in the 50s. I mean, it's first appearance of the most recognizable character outside of Superman. I mean, you know, you can go to anybody that doesn't collect comics or anything and go, hey, you know who Spider-Man is? And they go, yeah. Even before the movies. You know, everybody knew who Spider-Man was, Superman, and Batman. You might not have known Captain America. You might not have known all the other ones, but you knew those three. I mean, there was cartoons. Spider-Man was on the Electric Company in the 70s. Everybody knows that character, and that's where the value goes up. The book's also hard to find because it's not readily available in high grades. You can find, I mean, there's probably Spider-Man ones downstairs. There's probably 3 or 4 of them. But there's not that many that's super nice. And the average one's going to sell for $3,000 to $8,000. And those are nice books, but the 8s, the 8.0s, the 9.0s, the 9.2s, those just, you know, they don't exist because during that time when kids bought them those days, when you read them on your porch, you threw them in a box, you trade with your friends, there was very few people back then doing what we do now. There was nobody buying them going, oh, man, I'm putting that in a grocery bag and lit it on my shelf and never touching it. No, it didn't happen. You know, there was that one kid, I guess, that did, you know, because that's the way we have them now. But a majority of kids were like, oh, man, Spider-Man, that's great. Hey, read it, Billy. You know, and that's what all of them were. So the collecting didn't happen severely until about 75. The first con started around 73, and it was more like a swap meet. But serious collecting didn't really take, I mean, you could buy Spider-Man 1s in 1982 for $400. You know, and at the time I was like, ooh, $400. Gee, I don't know. You know, now that won't even buy a coverless copy. So about 75 is when people started going, I wonder if these are worth something. And it kind of started from there. And then about 85 to 88, it was just a tidal wave of from $400 to $4,000 in like 2 years. So.
Is that where the saturation of the market occurred afterwards?
No, that was the 90s. That was every Image starting and Valiant starting and variant covers starting. All that started like 92, 93, and that's what almost put the market under in the 90s. So there's no stupid questions.
Say you have a comic book from a company that's gone out of business. Is that comic worth more or worth
All depends on the comic. I mean, Comico is out of business, but Comico Primer 2, which is First Adventure of the Crow, is a $300 book. But Comico Primer 3, which is nothing, is a nickel. So, you know, every book only has a value depending on what the book is. There is no, just because it's a number one. I mean, I got number ones from 1950 that are $2. So then there's a, number one came out like 2 weeks ago called God Country that's already $40. So date and age don't really apply. It doesn't mean something's worth it just because it's older. So, yeah, God Country, I didn't know it either. So, yeah, it's crazy. And I'm like, really? So, right, yeah. Yeah, and you went, oh, look, another Spider-Man version. That's dumb. You know. So. Yeah, it went 75 issues.
How much would that be worth if it was all in that condition?
What, all through 1 through 75? One's $100, 2 and 3 are $40, 4's $50. It's first Lucifer, 5 and 6, 7, 8's the variant because it's first Death. I don't know, $1,000, $800. So.
When you go through and you grade a book, like what are the steps that you go through? What's your process?
First thing you look for is restoration. And I'm talking about older books. I'm not talking about newer stuff. First thing you gotta have is black light. So look at black light, under black light. Look for people who took a marker to make it blacker or color in a spot they tore. That's the first thing. You look at the spine to see how many dings are in it, how many times it's been picked up like that and bent. I said, they didn't tell me, give me that Lexington paper real fast, man. I'm gonna tear it up. But I think you can get another one. And so when you're picking a book up, and you pick it up like that, that's fine. But if it's an older book, it's going to bend. Well, if that bends enough, that's going to bend all the pages. When you pick a book up, you do this right here. Every time you pick a book up, if it's not bagged and boarded, you're literally damaging the book. Unless you are sliding a board under it and picking it up and acting like it's a pizza. And nobody does that. I do that when it's $1,000 books. I don't go, hey, this book's really good. But, I mean, you bring me a $5 book, I'm not going to be like, oh, dear, just, The guys are looking at quarter boxes and doing this. I don't know what they're doing. The book's a quarter. It's worth a quarter. But you look for restoration. You look for spine damage. Older books, you have to count the number of pages. Books in the 40s and the 50s, notorious, because they're really thick books back then, notorious about pages falling out. And if you don't count them, you don't know. And it's real bad about that. Look at the centerfold to make sure that the staples are there, that they're sealed good, that they're holding good. You do hold up the light to see a gloss, to see how glossy it is, But everything about it you have to look at. But mainly you got to have a black light, and I usually carry a flashlight, or now all the phones have flashlights on it, and you'll want to really look at the corners under a bright light because just a little fuzz, a little edge, anything like that can take a grade down. So, once again, I'm talking about higher dollar books. So, Spawn 1 is still Spawn 1. But, Captain America 1 from the 40s, I mean, I've looked at things under heavy not microscopes, magnifying glasses. The jewelers have the big magnifying. We had that at our store. That we'd take it and I want to be as big as I can see it. So, because every little flaw is going to knock down a price that I pay for the book or I can get for the book. So, and you got to look inside every pages because a lot of old kids in the 50s, 60s would write their names in the book. So you got to go through every page and see if it belonged to Jimmy. So. And older shops would stamp stuff with their shop address, things like that. So. That doesn't affect it as much as somebody signing it. So, just because it was kind of a thing then. So, it's like in the older days when they shipped books to the companies, they were wrapped in twine. And so the twine would put edges on the books this way and that way. So when you see that damage and it's twine damage, it doesn't affect it as much as if I just took the book and did that to it. Because you know what that damage is from. You can accept it and go, that's a publishing thing. That's how it was shipped. Still affects the price, but not as much as if I just hit it with a hammer and put the same ding in it. So, yes.
Signatures by creators and artists. What do you think about those?
Get them for yourself. They do not increase the value of the book in any way. I mean, you pay Stanley $100 to sign your Spider-Man 263. Well, that book is now worth $100 because you paid Stan $100 to sign it. I tell you, if you're going to get somebody to sign a book that you're paying for, I mean, like David Mack downstairs or Mike Grell, I think they're free. That's fine. But if you're paying Stan $100 or Rob Liefeld $30 or McFarlane $50, get a book that means something to you first. If you want to sell it, though, find the cheapest book you can get. Find a quarter book and have Todd McFarlane sign Spawn 63. Because I can sell that book for $50, but it doesn't help me to get a Spider-Man 300 signed by Todd. That book's already $200. It's now $200, and it's signed by Todd McFarlane. Very few people are going to pay extra for it. There's going to be somebody always that goes, oh, I'll pay extra, but the majority of signatures do not increase the value of a book. So if you're getting it to increase the value of a book, get the cheapest book you can get. You know, buying a $50 book for a $50 autograph, it's like the celebrities. If you get Chewbacca to sign your Star Wars comic, all you've done is add $30 to what you've got in that Star Wars comic. You're probably not going to get $30 out of that Star Wars comic. So, I mean, I've sold autographs now for 20 years, everybody from presidents to John Lennon. And nobody's autograph increases the value of an item that already has a value. You know, you want Chewbacca, get the picture signed. That has a value. But signing the $20 Star Wars comic is now, it's not a $60 Star Wars comic. It's a $40 Star Wars comic that's now signed by Chewbacca. That, he signs big and it's kind of messed up the cover. You know. So you have to be careful what you get things signed by. So if you want it to be worth more, get the thing that literally has no value. Or if you want to sell it, you want it to be to you and that Star Wars comic means on TV, yeah, you get that one signed. You know, if you want Stan Lee to sign your Spider-Man 1, go right ahead. I do not, I mean, we've sold them. It does not add the extra value in our research that you pay for the extra money you put into it. Right. I mean, I've seen Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader, sign a Star Trek ship because the kid gave him $20. So, well, Todd did the baseball thing where he bought all those balls by McGuire and all that. So there's a history of that. But just having, I mean, if you walked around with this paper that was free and you got everybody to sign it for free, do you really think you could sell this paper for $300? No, you might get $20 for it because Mike Grell signed it, David Mack signed it, and maybe you got Michael Rooker to sign it walking down the hallway. But you can't go. But it's signed by everybody that was here, and people are gonna go, "That's great." I'll give you $20. I mean, we did I was on the panel yesterday. If you make it to that about what your things is worth, and the guy, you might see him walking around. He's got the big Power Ranger head that's got 97 autographs on it. He's like, "Well, what do you think this is worth?" And it was me and the guys from the Comic Book Men show, and they're like, "Oh, it might be worth $5,000 or $6,000." I'm like, "It's not." I said, because it has too many signatures on it. Once you hit a plateau, you're done. It's $1,500 to $2,000 at best, because it would be the same amount if you had the 5 main Power Rangers and a couple guys from the first show. But nobody's really going to care that it's signed by Turbo Max SAR-Zero dinosaur guy. I'm glad he was in the show and you liked it, but, it's like having a game jersey signed by the World Series Cubs and the manager of the Bats. I'm glad that signature's on there, but nobody's going, "Oh, man, I sure hope the Bat manager signed it." And that's how you have to look at autographs. I mean, if you want, the David Mack Daredevil book, you want David Mack to sign it, maybe Joe Quesada to sign it. Getting the colorist, the editor, and the page counter guy from the book doesn't help it. You didn't do anything. You got it for you, but to sell it, it's still the same price whether Mack and Quesada signed it or Mack Quesada and the other people who work for Marvel signed it. You might as well the UPS guy signed it too because he shipped it. It just doesn't add to the value. So, signature series really only work if it's an older Neil Adams guys or some of the older guys, because they charge to prove that they signed it and it's real. No one's out faking David Mack's autograph. Nothing against David, But that's why you get the signature series, is to prove that the signature which you're paying for is real. If Ric Flair, who's here, signed for free all the time. Ric Flair's autograph does no value. So most of the comic guys don't really have a value because none of them charge. The few that do charge very minimal. Besides Stan, it's $5. I think Neil Adams charges $30. But once again, if you're getting Neil Adams to sign something, you're not getting him to sign Ravage 2099. Let's hope you're getting signed a nice Neil Adams Batman. And then that value can be on that book. But once again, that book has that value already. You get him to sign Batman 200. It's a $100 book. Well, now it's a $100 book signed by Neil Adams, so I'm not going to take 90 for it. It's 100, where I might take 90 or 85 if it's not signed to sell it. So, hi. Anybody else got any questions? Not you. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Why do you think people believe that signatures make it worth more? Is it just like the preconception that he signed it and that proves that this is legit?
Well, it is worth more. I can sell a signature from David Mack more if I'm in Topeka, Kansas, because David's never going there, unless somebody flies him in. And so it might be worth more outside of but nowadays, what city doesn't have a comic show that brings in people? Maybe if you live in, the woods, and I'm sure WoodsCon is coming up next year, everybody has a chance to meet everybody. You don't have to, 2 hours drive, and, you can be at any show you want to be. So the values kind of went down for that reason, where 10 years ago, 20 years ago when I used to go to Chicago before Wizard bought it, I'd take somebody with me to go get signatures. That was their job for the 3 days. Because you could go back to the stores and go, hey, these are signed by, Bart Sear signed these Turok ones, and now they're $10 each instead of $5. Because, you're not going to get to meet Bart Sears unless you went to Chicago or New York or San Diego. But now, and with the internet, I can, hey, dear Bart, can I send you 20 books and $20? And some will say yes. Or, hey, guys, you're going to that show. Take this book for me. So now it's not as hard to get. So the signature value goes to, how hard is that person to get now? Robert Kirkman's signature does add value. Robert doesn't do shows outside of San Diego and Phoenix virtually. Just because he don't want to, and he really doesn't need to. And so his signature might add value. McFarlane adds a little value because he doesn't do anything outside of San Diego and Phoenix. But the average person doesn't add value because you're going to see them in Lexington or Nashville or Birmingham or St. Louis or wherever you want to go.
What if Kirkman signed something for free? How much value does that add?
Kirkman's signature on anything, and when I say anything, let's just say it's a $10 item, whether it's a book, a trading card. Kirkman's signature right now, especially if you're going to get him signed something with Walking Dead, you're not going to get Battle Pope signed. $30, $40, depending if it's a really good image. And also what people sign depends on this has turned into how the signatures affect things. Depends on the image of what they're signing. Are you going to pay more for a Stan Lee signed Spider-Man 306 or Slapstick number 4? Which one do you want Stan Lee's signature on? Nobody wants Slapstick, So you're going to get more for the Spider-Man. So if you get something signed and you want to sell it, make sure the image is good. Don't get Stan Lee to sign things that Stan Lee has nothing to do with, really. He doesn't know who the New Mutants are. So get him to sign the Long Shot miniseries. Not helpful, Oh, yeah. I've seen a Wolverine 181 that guy brought to me. He goes, it's signed. I went, who signed it? Herb Tripp? He goes, no, Wolverine. Because it was a guy dressed up as Wolverine. And I went, well, that's great. Did you want me to sign it? Because I've seen a Wolverine, So, yeah.
Okay, say you know somebody and he has a signature by Jack Kirby on one of the few books he actually wrote. Would that be worth anything?
If it's a certified Kirby signature, it's worth $100 or more. So depending on the book. Once again, Kirby did a lot of really bad stuff that sucks, But if you got a Cap issue signed by him, or not FF issue signed by him, that's great. But if you got, Forever People 16, you just made a really bad choice. Because the book's worth $5, and with Kirby it might be maybe 50, and then you got to find somebody that really likes Forever People. So, and then you got that really bad stuff from Topps Comics he did that you just wasted meeting Jack Kirby when you did, because you might get $20 for it now. You would do better to cut out the signature, mat it, and put it with an old FF book. You would get more for it than selling. I don't even remember the names of those Topps comics that Kirby did, because it's just worthless. You know, some of the Kirkman. You want Kirkman to sign Walking Dead, maybe Invincible. You don't want Battle Pope. You don't want the one issue of Marvel team up he did with Invincible and Spider-Man. That doesn't have the value. You want Walking Dead. You know, and it doesn't matter what Walking Dead issue it is. Better if it's a better issue, but that's all you want. So.
Does it just come with experience, basically?
Well, everything does. I mean, so, but knowing what to get signed, how to get signed, how much to pay for it, yeah, I mean, it just comes to trial and error. So, you want your paperback, man? I didn't bend it up too much. So.
Would have been nice if you signed it.
Want me to sign it for you? I don't have a pen. I'm $10 a signature downstairs. $5 for a photo op. Don't be taking my picture without my permission. But I'll answer anything else you got. They got me for about 5 more minutes. Somebody's probably watching my booth. So.
So if anybody else has got a question for him?
How do you store a comic that's been slammed?
Keep it in the plastic they ship it to you in. Put it inside of a box. Keep it dark. They make sure it is not exposed to moisture. So if you have a humid room, buy a dehumidifier. You know, once again, keep it away from smells. So, but the box they ship it in, those little folder boxes, just keep it in those. You know.
The book that I sent out to CGC when it got sent back, when I pulled it out of the box, the slab was cracked. It's a small hair line crack, but it's cracked.
Send it back to them.
I was concerned because I didn't know if they would take it out of the slab without damaging it because it graded at a 9/8.
Send it back to them. Inform them immediately that if this has happened, they will re-slab it. There's a small fee, but you should send it back to them as fast as you can. Because the crack will only grow in size. I mean, it's like your windshield if it gets chipped. It's good for that first 6 months, and it slowly gets bigger, and it gets bigger. So, yes. Jeez, that I don't know. I would choose just a hardwood that's not so sensitive to moisture. So like a hard oak or something like that, I would assume. I've never done that because mainly I'm going to keep stuff in comic boxes, you know, heavily bagged and boarded. But I would find some information about type of wood. You still want a wood that gets mold on it, that grows mold easy or keeps moisture. So I just don't know enough about wood to answer that. Yeah, just regular old comic boxes. Ooh, good. Did you go to lunch with Tony and Robert? Okay. I knew them both before Walking Dead too. So. You know, art is going to be, I can tell you $100 and somebody might pay you $1,000 for it. There's, you know, what's the drawing of? Is it a zombie or is it the puppy dog?
No, Tony was sitting there drawing like a Grim Reaper type.
Okay. It's hard to tell. I mean, like I said, there's going to be somebody that's going to pay 10 times more than what I would pay. That's just too hard to tell.
I'm not the only one, so I'm just curious.
I would, how big is it? Like,
It's just a piece of notebook paper that he ripped out of his notebook and just and put his name on it.
and then Robert signed it too?
Yeah, because I was being smart.
Okay.
Y'all better sign this. One of y'all be famous.
That's right. Okay. I've got stuff like that too.
All they ever talked about, oh, we're going to be famous. And then y'all can do that.
You know, it could be for anywhere from the $300 to $600 range, depending how the paper quality looks, how it looks. You know, is it in pencil or ballpoint or Sharpie or, yeah. 3 to 6, I would say. I would definitely have it framed. You know, I've got anybody know Eric Powell does the Goon? I've been friends with Eric for 30 years. He lives 3 minutes down the road from me. And I own 6,000 pieces of artwork by him that he did before he ever did the Goon, because he would draw sketches. And I go, oh, that's cool, and I'd throw it in the closet. You know, what am I going to do with those? I don't know. But same thing, I've got Eric's first ever professional drawing of the Goon when he called him Monster Boy before it was published by my publishing company in the 90s. And so, you know, is it worth something? Probably. Is it worth thousands? You know, just the right person, sure. But the average person, no. You know, I'd unfold it. I would get in some type of flattening frame or 8x10 protector or something to keep it as flat as I could, and I wouldn't expose it to light. Light's the second killer besides smell. So light will fade anything. Plain regular bags do not protect you from light. That's why you got to put boards in the front and the back. So, yeah, moisture kills everything. So, thanks, guys.
Everybody give him a round of applause for coming up here, and take him out of his booth when you get on the floor to the left.